We are now going to talk about the developmental characteristics of clover buds. We're going to talk how they develop physically, mentally, emotionally, and socially. We're going to start with 5 and 6-year-olds, and then we're going to go on to 7 and 8-year-olds because they are pretty distinct in those two age groups. Now, because 5 and 6-year-olds are like this physically, they have muscular coordination and control that is incomplete. They're just starting to develop their small motor skills, but they do have better use of tools and materials than they did when they were 3 or 4. So leaders can do these types of things. Do activities that use their large motor skills and plan a lot of physical activities. And the projects that you do should not require fine motor skills or perfection. So make sure your activities are age level appropriate. Because 5 and 6-year-olds are like this mentally, they think concretely. They only work well on one thing at a time. They have very short attention spans, and they're more interested in the process, not necessarily the end result. Leaders can do these types of things. Allow them to explore and ask questions. That's how they learn. Plan short activities around concrete thinking. When we're talking concrete thinking, they do not have that abstract thought, and they also have to see things. They have to be factual. So if you were doing a lesson on, say, growing a plant, you just can't hand them a seed and say, one day this is going to be a plant. Well, you can, but what might work better is to talk about the seed, have a sample of what the plant will look like when it's grown, so they can see, well, this little seed is going to turn into that. That helps them in their thinking concretely. Provide a variety of materials and mediums for learning. Painting, drawing, touching, clay, whatever you can think of that works well with the activity that you are working with. And make sure that you give verbal instructions, because if they are reading, not all of them will be reading well by this time. Because 5 and 6-year-olds are like this emotionally, they are very sensitive to criticism. They don't accept failure well. They like to be cooperative and helpful, and they really thrive on routine. Leaders can do these types of things. Give them encouraging words for their efforts. Remember, they're not really interested necessarily in the end product. It's the doing it itself. Let them help. Use them to help pass things out or make sure everyone helps clean up. Let them be cooperative and helpful. Give clear description of the activities and make sure you stick to a schedule. There will be some more ideas on how to run a Clover Bud meeting incorporating some of these things in the last module. Because 5 and 6-year-olds are like this socially, they're just learning how to cooperate and play. They work better in small groups. They may have many best friends that change often, sometimes more than one best friend in a day. They get mad easily but get over it quickly, thus lots of best friends. They can be unkind to others but very sensitive themselves, and they have a desire to be first, and they want to win, and they have a tendency to be bossy. So as a leader, plan projects and activities for smaller groups. Divide them into smaller groups if you have a large group, if possible. Help them develop friendships by learning to share, take turns, and follow rules. Avoid competitive activities with a winner. That means someone who's going to feel like a loser if you have a winner. And maintain a high adult-child ratio. Recommend at least 1 adult per 6 youth. And don't forget to use those team leaders. Those are very helpful when you're working with Clover Buds. Now moving on to the ages and stages of 7 and 8-year-olds. Because 7 and 8-year-olds are like this physically, they learn best when they're active. Small muscle control is still developing. Their large muscle skills have improved, and mastering a technique may require doing it over and over again. So as a leader, avoid spending too much time just sitting or listening. Allow time for active activity. Make sure that they are moving while they're learning. You can march around and sing a song, or hands-on activities that require more than just coloring or using their hands to do one thing. And give them opportunity to practice skills. In fact, you may build from one meeting to another if you're having them work on a certain skill, that you keep incorporating it so they can learn that mastery. Mentally, 7 and 8-year-olds, most of them can read and comprehend. They're starting to see things from others' perspectives. They're very curious and like to discover. They can collect, sort, organize, and classify. They have some abstract thinking skills, and their sense of humor is starting to develop. As leaders, you can do these types of things. Some reading and writing, but still give your directions verbally and visually. Encourage their love of collecting and sorting and classifying. Probably almost everybody's gathered rocks when they were little. Anything that they can organize and collect and maybe bring for a presentation. Have them reflect on their hands-on learning, that do, reflect, apply model. And to help their humor develop, I would advise you to learn some knock-knock jokes and be very patient with all the knock-knock jokes you'll hear. Emotionally, 7 and 8-year-olds are becoming more aware of themselves. They are more sensitive to others. They like being part of a family. They worry about failing or being criticized. And they may say something is too hard rather than admit they're too afraid to fail. So have them do things for others. Get involved in those community service projects. Provide lots of encouragement and praise. Be sensitive when you're introducing new skills or concepts. If they say, I don't want to do it, or it's too hard, it may be because they're afraid of failure. So encourage them, starting with small steps, and build on their successes. And have them make things for family members when you're doing activities and projects. Socially, 7 and 8-year-olds value adult interaction, but they have high expectations of adults. They are becoming more curious and talkative. They can be moody, but they're less likely to be critical of others. They're starting to have friendships that involve sharing, and they like to work with the same-sex group. Leaders can help by introducing social skills, teaching them how to be polite, the please and thank yous. Choose learning activities that involve conversation because they are being more curious and talkative. Choose learning activities that use curiosity and creativity, and use activities that emphasize diversity of families and lifestyles. If you're wondering what type of things to do, I would encourage you to contact your local 4-H office, and they may have some materials you can use. Or you can look at the last module in this resource. That'll give you some ideas.